Hello there, you amazing viewers and subscribers, and welcome to a brand new Doctor Who epic review for today. As you can tell, I've kind of changed my fantastic Doctor Who corner, as I've actually extended one big shelf here, which you can partly see, and I've got another one just down here, where I've actually got my fob watch on. So I thought, you know what, spread all the DVDs out, so that way I've got someone here, someone this big white shelf here, someone here, and I've been Blu-rays on this shelf. So, welcome to my review on Doctor Who spin-off, The Sarah Jane Adventures, aka Episode 1, Invasion of the Bane. So, I'm actually going to class the Invasion of the Bane, the actual main first episode to Series 1, instead of having it being like Revenge of the Savine. I really think that's like Episode 2 and 3, typically. So yeah, I'm just going to pop the box set of the Sarah Jane Adventures that I've got here with all 12 discs. Now, I absolutely love the Sarah Jane Adventures. It is my favourite Doctor Who spin-off. I mean, if I was going to say what's my favourite spin-off, technically it would have been used to be K9 and Company, but K9 and Company, I actually think that more like a prequel to the Sarah Jane Adventures. So, you know, I'm not going to include K9 and Company because I do think it's part of the Sarah Jane Adventures, but I'm going to do that at the end. I've done the review of series 1 to 5. I want to talk about each episode first of the main series, So, Invasion of the Bane. What can I say about it? Well, I kind of want to talk about the Bane first. So here's the imagery of the Bane. They remind me so much of the nesting consciousness, the way they appeared in Spared from Space. I really think these are a type of relatives to the you know, as I said, to the nesting consciousness. I really think there could be a type of relative, you know, a former distant cousin, or they look so much to the nesting consciousness that we see in Spare from Space and Tell the Autons and of course Rose. But I really love the way how this episode really plays into it. So we don't really dive into Sarah Jane just yet. So we're kind of following these two characters, Alan and Maria, who's basically just moved over the road from Sarah Jane's house in 13 Birmingham Road, she's in. So they're just over the road from her. And of course, you meet Maria's mom, aka Chrissy, who's basically had an affair and then wanted to sell the house. So basically, she kicked her own daughter and her ex-husband out, so they had to move into a house. So she's there helping them. So Sarah Jane does come out of her car and they're trying to stay alone. She's literally just smiles and walks back into 13 Birmingham Road. Then, of course, you have that fantastic scene where Sarah Jane is there talking to one of the alien creatures that actually appeared in Torchwood. So I had to look that up because when I was watching GIFs and Greeks and GIFs, something like that, in series 1 of Torchwood, I had to pause it and look up the alien that they actually used, the alien design for the Sarah Jane Adventures for this one scene I'm talking about. So I think that's a nice good way to actually connect Torchwood and the Sarah Jane Adventures together. I think that's absolutely brilliant. So anyway, when you get into the actual plot of the episode, we meet this new girl, Chrissy, whatever her name is, and then she takes Maria onto the Bubble Shock bus. So Bubble Shock is basically the pop that contains Bane. So it's basically the Invasion of Bane, where basically they just sand themselves into pops and I think it's like cutting themselves up and stuff, and then so they can try and get the whole world become part of the Bane and make them all go around saying, "Drink it, drink it." The factory where the Bubble Shock is, where Miss Wormwood is. Now, Miss Wormwood, I think she's an interesting villain. I really do like the actress that plays her. And, of course, she does return in Series 2 in Enemy of the Bane, where basically she teams up with a Santaran, which I will talk about more about that when I get into that episode. So, anyway, we do meet another kind of Bane, this kind of pretty-haired bloke who basically is very, very creepy. I mean, he's creepy in one way, but the actor really brings that creepiness out really, really well. I love the fact when Chrissy sets off her phone in the factory and the roof opens up and you see the Bane's mother, this great big massive octopus squiddy thing with one eye, and she's just there screaming. And I know I said that Bonnie Langford's character Mel screams a lot. I mean, out of the two characters in the Doctor Who universe, aka Mel and the Skill, This girl can take Bonnie Langford's money. I'm just saying that. It just does. It's just one of those screams where it just does your head in automatically. Just pure automatically. It just really pulls me out of the episode. Half of it. Then, of course, you get to that fantastic location site of Sarah Jane's attic for the first time. I love the fact that basically we do actually see, aka the artifact who later becomes Luke Smith, aka Sarah Jane's adopted son. We also meet Mr. Smith, the fantastic alien computer. I think he's an actually fantastic design. I really love the way how, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched this series, he does become like one of the main villain, like the main villain at the end of the finale to series 1. But he does get a computerized put to him, and basically he gets brainwashed and becomes basically back on Team Sarah Jane. I also love the fact that we have really got good callbacks. So we have got K9 in this kind of like vault thing, scanning around by a black hole, trying to close it by trying to save the Earth. And of course, it is K9 Mark IV, considering K9 Mark III was introduced in K9 and Company, and he was destroyed in Skull Reunion. So basically, for the K9 that we see in the Sarah Jane Adventures, and of course in the finale in Journey's End of Series 4, is K9 Mark IV, which is actually quite cool when you think about it. So we actually have got K9 Mark IV. The episode really does play out, and it's so wow and so brilliantly. I really do enjoy this episode. The one thing I'm going to have to say about it, I think when Sarah Jane is there talking about adopting basically the artifact, and Maria goes, I like Luke, and he goes, if you like Luke, I like Luke. I really think that's a good way to play into the next, to build up this entire whole spin-off series. The Bane, I really like the design. The fact they can actually shapeshift from humanoid into these big, squiddy octopus creatures, I really think that's kind of good. The fact that if you fail them, basically, they kind of eat you alive. Well, they kind of eat them alive, whoever fails them. Like, if it's the Bane, imagine having one big squiddy creature eating another squiddy creature. Yeah, it's very, very good, I have to admit. I would say these work so well in the Sarah Jane Adventures. If these were to appear in Torchwood, I don't think it would have worked. So the fact that they appeared in the very first opening episode to the Sarah Jane Adventures to get viewers keen and hooked into it, I think it's done absolutely splendid and well done. I have to be 100% honest. This episode is definitely a 10 out of 10. It's a great way to open up to it. Elizabeth Sladen is brilliant as Sarah Jane once again. And I mean, this is literally her 4th time returning to the role of Sarah Jane Smith. I mean, considering that she ended the character in 1976 in The Hand of Fear, then she returned into the character in 1981 in K9 and Company, then she returned for a 2nd time in The Five Doctors 2 years later, and then she returned again for the 4th time in Skull Reunion. And so this is basically the 5th time that Elizabeth Sladen has come back into the role of Sarah Jane Smith on screen for us fans. I know in between the early 2000s, just before the Sarah Jane Adventures basically started, that Elizabeth Sladen was doing her own kind of spin-off, like her own Sarah Jane Adventures for Big Finish, which is kind of good. I mean, I do love that. I do love that idea. So I am trying to find them on CD so I can actually listen to them. So anyway, the whole character design, I'm going to talk about some of my favourite characters. So one of the favourite characters I want to talk about is Sarah Jane Smith. She's had so much character growth, and the fact that she doesn't really know what to do with kids, and the fact that she lets Maria basically help her defeat the Bane, and of course basically adopt Luke. I think that's a really good way to make her character kind of more grow and grow and grow and grow. He up to the actual finale of the Sarah Jane Adventures, up to her death, which I think is done absolutely brilliant. The actress Yasmin Page, who plays Maria, I actually quite like her. Now, it's so much like, say, Sarah Jane is basically the Doctor type character, and then Maria becomes her first full-on companion. I really think that's kind of a good dynamic. I really do quite enjoy that. Then, of course, Tommy Knight, who plays Luke, basically the artifact, and later becomes Luke. He grows so much more in the character when the series grows on. But he has such a great positive start, and I just absolutely love the way how he plays into it really, really well. The only one thing I have to say, this episode does not feature Clyde. Now, Clyde does become another great character for this spin-off series later on in Series 1 in the next story, to be honest with you, which is a 2-parter, aka Revenge of the Savine Part 1 and Revenge of the Savine Part 2. But I don't really get why they got rid of the actress that plays Cassie in this episode. I mean, after this episode, she never appears again. I mean, literally never appears again. And there's no mention of her in the rest of Series 1, and there's no mention of her in Series 2, when Maria basically leaves. So I don't know what happened to the character of Cassie, who basically just ends up vanishing from the Sojourner Adventures completely. I think I kind of got dropped her and brought Luke in because, again, this is just the pilot, not Luca, Clyde. So I think they dropped her to bring Clyde in, which Clyde worked really, really well. And I think that worked so well when they brought in the Arani Chandra in Series 2 and all the way up to Series 5. So, Invasion of the Bane, what can I say about it? Well, it is a 10 out of 10 episode. I absolutely do enjoy it. I'm hoping that you all will enjoy this review as well, and I'm quite looking forward to doing other reviews on the Sojourner Adventures. So, specifically, my next review will be on Revenge of the Fiend. Then it's on to the Gorgon episode and the Trickster episode, and then to the finale, aka The Lost Boy, where basically the Fiend team up with Mr. Smith to basically try and crash the moon into Earth. So that is one thing I just wanted to say about. So there will be like a review for each story of the Sojourner Adventures, and then possibly on what I think from each series. So when I get to do my review on the last episode of Series 1, I'll probably do my review on the entire first series of Sojourner Adventures, and then talk about the episodes individually, and then back to a main full series review. So Enemy of the Bane, how can you watch it? Well, luckily for us fans, it is available on BBC iPlayer. It's also available on BritBox. You can actually get the DVD separately on its own, or in the box set of the Sojourner Adventures, or in this fantastic box set, having all 5 series into one box set instead of having like Invasion of Bane first, or Series 1 or Series 2. This is actually a good way. And to be honest with you, this is not even that expensive. It's only £39 in HMV. And it's not really expensive. You can actually get it still. So if you want to dive into the wonderful world of Doctor Who spin-off, I would suggest dive into the Sojourner Adventures first. And then, yes, I do know it's made for specifically children since it aired on CBBC. But it's actually quite good for adults as well. I mean, I'm 27 years old, and I used to love this when growing up in the early 2000s, in the late 2000s and early 2010s, and Sojourner Adventures was airing on CBBC. And the fact that I've gone back and rewatched this, I haven't really watched the Sojourner Adventures now for 5 years. I mean, the last time I watched it is when I had Series 1 to 4 on DVD, and I couldn't get Series 5, so I kind of sold them last year and I bought the box set, but I never really watched the entire box set for over a year. So I thought it's about time for me to sit down and watch all the Sojourner Adventures again. Enjoy from every single moment. And Invasion of the Bane, cracking episode. I absolutely do enjoy it. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. Please do like, subscribe, share, and join for more awesome Doctor Who content.